Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped.com. See the podcast description for a special money off code. Welcome to the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Spurs News Podcast, our weekly show talking all things Tottenham Hotspur. I am Sam, joining me to have fun in our discussion, it's Matt.
How you, mate? How you getting on?
Yeah, I'm good, not too bad. We're still not great, but we're not as bad as we were. I think that's where I'm at. I'm loving this. We're on the upward trajectory.
I can't help. I know it's sort of how I alluded to it last week, but I can't help just thinking that we're just not that club. We're not the Spurs that under Nuno. I know it's only been a few weeks under Conte, but we're just not that club. We're not that squad anymore.
Yeah, I it's weird because like the old adage is a game of two halves. Literally, the Leeds game, you watch that game and it was like watching two different teams from the first half to the second half. I mean, you were there live. I watched it on TV. I don't know if you... Because sometimes watching the game live, you can walk away with a very different view of someone watching it on TV.
Yeah.
But for me, the first half was not good.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a Bielsa masterclass, the first half. You could see... So, as people listen know, I sit in the south, so you kind of get and I'm about 50 rows up, so I think where you are, you get a real good sense of the formation and the kind of the way you see the manager wants to play. And I don't get me wrong, I appreciate you see it on television, but I think when you're sort of that front on view and you can kind of see it from the goalkeeper forward, you get a really good idea. It's almost like, before the game and they show the lineup, don't they? And they do it in that view, don't they? So you sort of see it in that portrait view, don't you?
Yeah.
So you could see, obviously, with a 3-5-2, the way he plays, you could see that formation, right? And you could see how he said to the players, "This is how I want you to play." But they just there was two things, I think. The first thing was that there wasn't they didn't seem the want, the intensity, the desire. The kind of probably the kind of way that we're going to be playing once Conte's got it drummed into him, and like the way Pochettino used to get us to play as well. Yeah. And the second thing was that Bielsa was fantastic. The way he set it up was fantastic. He was so tight because a lot of our play, especially even with Nuno, is more kind of, he's quite central, isn't he? Lucas Moura is quite central, and they were so tight on him. They were so tight. So, as ridiculous as it looked, our focal point in the first half was Dyer. And it was becoming a bit of a joke. Like, we were just, honestly, we were laughing in the stands that Dyer is the kind of like he's the outlet. He's the kind of
the playmaker.
The playmaker, basically. Yeah. But because they were so tight on Lucas, it was almost like we were being forced into that. And everyone was saying, like, obviously the goal went in. And we're like, oh, and do you know what? I like, even though I'd never boo, I liked hearing Højbjerg saying that he actually liked the boos because it meant that we're expecting Spurs to be better. He said if we were an average team, you wouldn't get the boos.
Yeah, no, and yeah, he is right. There's a level of anger within the club which is not Conte, and to a certain extent, not this team's fault, if that makes sense. There's kind of a level of that video of that guy shouting at Daniel Levy, you can see me, I can see you, that guy.
Yeah.
That's how it feels. Like, there was that one guy all that time ago, and now it feels like there's 10,000 of that guy, at every game, and it kind of has that capacity of, this is your fault, you bold bat, what I mean? It just has that element to it, which is, does often transfer to the team. Like, you see someone miss-hit a pass and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
But I think most people, when they step away from the environment, would go, yeah, I'm not mad at him. He was trying to pass. That's fine. I'm not mad at this. I'm mad because I felt like we as a club were here and now we're down there and I'm annoyed about it.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what I mean? So I think it's going to take a while to get rid of that. I think 4 or 5 great games and everyone could be really up, and then we'll have a game where we're average and you'll hear it a little bit back in there. But I think as time goes on, it'll fade. Assuming things keep developing the way they are, because, like you said, Leeds set up very well. I was shocked and beyond impressed with Phillips' man-to-man job on Harry Kane. I had no idea that guy had the discipline in his game to do something like that. I was blown away by it. I thought he was great. And then in the second half, what impressed me and what made me feel good about the world, obviously we came back and won, that's great. But we've got a head coach, manager, guru, whatever people want to call it nowadays, who made tactical changes, and not only made them but instilled in the team a drive to come out and we turned the game around. I don't remember us having that for a long time. Even under Pochettino, who's a man I absolutely love, when a game was going really badly, it never felt like we had that ability to make a real sharp change, if that makes sense, which impacted the game. But
of course.
He did it.
Yeah, and I like the fact. I mean, it probably part of the reason why was because he probably got to work with him for a couple of weeks, but he started Winks, which is good to see. Winks didn't have a great first half. I think with Winks, he's like you. I know what you think. You've got a lot of love for him, even though he's been struggling recently. And I think that's probably part of the problem is the fact he's been struggling, and it's a confidence thing. But like I alluded to last week. If now he's got a coach who will instill confidence, will instill that drive. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised that come the end of the season, Winks is one of the first names on the team sheet with like a lot of players. I mean, I saw. I know this when you read Twitter, you really can't. You have to kind of take everything that you read.
You do, yeah.
With a pinch of salt. But there was, I don't know if you saw. There's a few rumours going around that they think that Conte has said, look, I can't deal with Ndombele anymore. You're going to have to sell him in January. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's true, because for all the ability and skill Ndombele's got, he doesn't have that. This is what's going to make the difference with Spurs. Like I said last week, we've got the players. We've got very, very good players, but it's the attitude that's not been right. So this is where Conte can work on their attitude. And I think someone like Ndombele, you can just see. I mean, I know what's that saying? A leopard doesn't change his spots. And I know sometimes you can instill an attitude in play, but there's some people that you just think, I can't. There's nothing I can do. This guy is just. This is how this guy is. And
it's interesting because Conte really wanted him into Milan. He identified him as a player he thought would really improve his Inter team. So he probably, when arriving, was thinking, "Oh, great! I get to work with this guy. I can sort this guy out. I can do this." If he's come in and after a couple of weeks he's gone, there is no coaching you.
Yeah.
That's a burning problem. I mean, Pochettino never really got the chance to get stuck in with him, I don't think. He sort of was out the door. Jose, we know well, but the problem is it's really hard with Jose because there are some very, very good players out there who have been ostracised by Jose because he seems to want to pick a fight sometimes to almost fire the dressing room up. So it's very difficult to judge on that. But the fact that he didn't really play under Pochettino, but you can kind of say, well, maybe he was still getting fit. Didn't play really under Jose. Nuno didn't fancy him, and now Conte's not playing him. There's a reason.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And I think, and again, this is something I've said before numerous times, but the clues are in what you see, and one of the biggest ones for me is that every time he gets a nick, he's got that face on him like, oh, woe me, and he hobbles around. He just hasn't got that kind of. That fire in him, you're a professional football player. You're going to get niggles. You're going to get hit. You're going to get a nip on the back of the ankle. Get up, get on with it. Have the desire, have the drive. And he doesn't seem to have that. He's just always. No. It's almost like he plays that victimhood all the time, And that's a kind of attitude that is very, very hard to change. So look, he's been blessed, he's been born with a lot of ability. He's a very, very good football player, and hopefully that means we can get a decent amount of money for him if we do end up selling him in January or next summer. But I personally would like to see him go. As much as I'd miss that ability, I miss that skill he has. He's scored some fantastic goals. If we're gonna genuinely start competing for trophies, then we need 11 players that are going to want to literally, like Conte says, like, you know, you see him again, something I mentioned before, that interview with Henry. You know, I'd rather kill someone than have the right, if they didn't have the right attitude. You know, you need that do or die attitude for all 11 players, and I don't think Ndombele's got it.
No, I agree, and it's interesting. Is it must be that. It must be the attitude. It must be the application and the desire. Because, like you said, you see him play sometimes and you're like, wow, this guy, this is why we signed him. Look at this, you know, look at that, look what he just did. And then you sort of watch the situation where the manager, and like Conte's not even been thinly veiled with it, has he? I mean, he's literally said he needs to work harder. He doesn't work hard enough. Yeah, I mean, the problem we've got as a club is we are not great at cutting our losses on players that don't work out. We can point at Levy for that, but we've historically, we'll let a guy like run his contract and then like flog him on and have him wasting time around the squad, rather than going, do you know what, yeah, we paid 40-something million for him, but he needs to go, it's bad for the club, bad for the dressing room, we'll take 25. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we don't do that. I think we need to. Yeah, I think we need to literally do a deal in January for someone who will take him, even if it's a loan to the end of the season. You know, just get him out of the squad and let him go and play somewhere where hopefully he can play, and someone will go, actually, yeah, I'll take a shot on him. You know, I'll have a go, because maybe in a different league you won't get kicked as much. Do you know what I mean? Because like in France, the guy was dominant, but he took that into the Champions League, which is why I think us and other clubs looked at him and went, oh great, he's a real player. You know, I think if he was just a midfielder that dominated in France and in Europe, did what he did in the Premier League, everyone would have not bothered. But that season he was in the Champions League when he was in France, he was one of the best midfielders in there. He was great. And I remember us being linked with him, me not knowing a lot about him, and watching a game just thinking, wow, that's a Dembele replacement. And he's just never, he is nothing like.
No, and that's the thing. You look at the skill set with the two of them. I'd suggest they're very similar to Dembele and Ndombele, but Dembele, his attitude was incredible, wasn't it? You know, he had such a fantastic. He had that do or die attitude, didn't he? You could see he left nothing off on the pitch, did he, after a game? And whereas sort of, you know, Ndombele comes on and you can just see from minute one he just doesn't fancy this, doesn't fancy anything physical, you know, like wants to play football. No, he can play football, but just doesn't fancy it. Whereas Dembele, he would get stuck in, you know, like I've said before, you know, they'd look, talking about focal points, talking about, you know, who to play the ball from. You'd give it to him. It means everyone else on the pitch could have a breather, because no one's getting that ball off him. And it takes so many. Which is why we said, haven't we? You said this is why he probably ended up going to China or wherever he went, because he just got battered for so long, you know. But he took it all, and there was never the attitude was so different. And
do you ever see that great interview with him? Sorry, just very briefly. He did this interview not long after he left, talking about how much he loved Tottenham, and you know, it would be his club now because of how much he loved being at the club and the fans. And he said to him, like, oh, you know, when you were looking for a new challenge, everything, he said, well, one of the key requisites is I wouldn't have to be as fast anymore because my ankles can't carry me anymore. He said I wouldn't have to have the same level of upper body strength. You know, I could tone down my gym work because the physicality of the English Premier League, you know, is intense. And I said, he said, but I think the main thing I was looking for when I was leaving the club to go play somewhere else is I'd like to just have some time on the ball. Just like I can get the ball, I can turn, and no one's kicking the crap out of me. It's lovely. Sorry, mate. Yeah, go on. You were saying.
No. That's it. That's hit the nail on the head, isn't it? And it's just with Ndombele, he can't, like, you know, I've said this loads of times before, but you know, that Volta football, that five-a-side football, that guy would love it. You know, he's got that very quick skills and that, but it's just his attitude. If he just had a better attitude, we'd have £100 million, you know, player that's a Dembele plus, you know. But so his attitude lets him down.
A question for you then. You last week talked greatly about Conte and your belief in his impact on the side, etc. I've been talking a lot to a few people about different players. Dan, on our podcast, actually, we had a conversation yesterday going backwards and forwards about players. And Dan's very much of the opinion certain players should just be gone. I mean, he's had that opinion for a while. His way of thinking, and I think it echoes a lot of people, which is you've had so many managers with this same group of players. At what point you just go, these guys need to leave? The example of this is Dele. Dele Alli's in there. He was on a slight decline. Jose, he had a bump, and then nothing. Nuno, nothing. Now it's Conte. Still not, he can't even get in the team. And to a certain extent, the formation we play now doesn't really suit, or doesn't appear to suit him at present. With that, I mean, my kind of responses at the moment, and I'm possibly being, I don't know, naive, but we talked about it last week, is I want to see what Conte can do with these players. So for me, it's like everyone's had a clean slate. Like the other example I can give you is Matt Doherty. Pre-Conte joining, if someone said to me, name one Tottenham player that you'd sell straight away right now, I'd say Matt Doherty. I think everything about him when we signed him made sense. Big, strong, tall, good in the air, athletic, up and down all the time. Everything about that, I was like, wow, what a great deal. That seems like a really Premier experience. He's classed as homegrown despite being Irish. It's like everything about that. This is great, but it has not worked. And I think sometimes people have to accept that sometimes a player can come in with everything being right, the scouting being right, the player's attitude being right, but it just doesn't work at a certain club. And he could go to another club, playing the exact same formation, and be great. So that's how it works sometimes. So for me, I was like, nah, not worked. That's one to go. He just doesn't look comfortable in a Tottenham shirt. However, with Conte coming in, we've got a system where we are playing wing backs. So literally, Matt Doherty, that is his role. So for me, it's clean slate time. So for me, it's kind of like, okay, under Conte, can Matt Doherty, playing as a wing back under a manager who really instills in people and really coaches them, really gets into them, really, every single scenario is coached, everything, like, you lose the ball here, where are you? I'm telling you where you are. Yeah. Whether he can become a player, under us. And I don't think you can judge that from a sub appearance. I don't think you can judge it from one Europa Conference League appearance. I think it's going to take a few games, and I think Conte's hinted at that as well. So what I wanted to put to you is, like, at the moment, how are you feeling about that? Like I said, for me, clean slate, let's see where everyone is after a few games. But Dan, fellow admin from Spurs News, he's got a list and he wants them gone. What's your thinking?
I don't know if this is being me being naive, or possibly like not a level of understanding maybe on Dan's superior level, but yeah. my opinion, and I genuinely mean this, I would be happy for us not to sign a single player in January. For me at the moment, I'm not interested in any players elsewhere. I genuinely think, like you've alluded to, that Conte can get the best out of the players we've got at the moment. Some of them are beyond getting the best of, like, I was talking about Ndombele. I don't think there's much you can do with him because of his attitude, but there's other players that I genuinely think will like the likes of Matt Doherty. Another good one is Sessegnon. Sessegnon's, I know he's had his injuries and he's had his loan spell and that everything, yeah. But when he came on, he looked sharp, and these are players that, like, we've looked at Sessegnon and, like, how much do we pay for him? 25 million. He was having a fantastic time at Fulham. I remember me and you talking on a podcast about hoping to get him because he was doing so well for Fulham. He's come to us for one reason or the other. He's not kind of lit the firework, as it were. But I think that we've got a wing back who'll comfortably play in that system. Left wing back who'll comfortably play in Conte's formation, his system, really well. And I think it's like, I know I keep wanting to go back to this player, but for me, I just always think of Victor Moses at Chelsea, Yeah. And I think that he was so good, like, and I think with the players we've got, like you say, with Conte coaching them, let's just go this season with what he's got, and then say come come the end of the season, reevaluate it, go, look, no
Yeah.
matter what he's done, these players just aren't they're just not good enough. We need to strengthen in this position. We need to strengthen this position. But for now, I think let's work with what we've got for the season. I really do. And so I know I know when you go on when you go on our page, when you go on any page on Facebook or on social media, people just crying out for signings, aren't they? And they get angrier and angrier the closer it gets to the 31st of January. Oh, why haven't we made any signings? Like, you can just see the anger. But I don't think we need to. I genuinely don't think we need to. I don't think we do, mate.
I think we need a striker.
But yeah, okay. So we've got Kane. Son can.
Yeah, go on.
But do you really not think that? Do you not think that with the Conte effect that we're gonna start seeing Kane firing all cylinders soon? Do you not think that?
Even let's say we do. I mean, the best case scenario is we do see Kane get back to some sort of form for us. We still needed a striker regardless of that in the squad. I mean, yeah, Sonny can cover there, definitely, but Sonny himself isn't having, a great season or a great start to the season by his high standards.
Do you know, we was watching where me and Seb sit in the south, there was the Spurs team train, pre-match they train on our side. And they always have two goals, don't they? So they have the real goal there, and they'll put a temporary goal to the other side of it, just so they can both goalkeepers can have a bit of practice and that. And Sonny couldn't hit a barn door.
No,
it was just every shot he was taking, he couldn't get anything on target. I don't know. What do they call it? There's something they call it when golf players have it, and they just
got the yips.
Yeah, he's just got that. He just cannot.
Sonny, when he first joined us, was a bit like that. He was. Everyone could see there was a player there, but he never really kind of hit his full flow. And you remember at the end of that first season, he was like, "I want to leave. I don't like it here. I can't score goals. It's rubbish." And they persevered, and we all know Sonny. I mean, Sonny's been great for us.
Yeah,
he's got so much in the bank that everyone's fine. Like, right, you're having a bad run. Don't worry about it, mate. You're fine. And the thing is, he's the sort of player that he'll score, and then that's it. He's off. He'll get one, and then Sonny's on fire. Then, and every shot he hits from the edge of the box curls into that corner beautifully. We all know it. We've all seen him do it when he lines it up, and you're like expecting to see the net go. So yeah, he's a real confidence player. The Kane thing's interesting to me because you watch that first half, and Phillips did a brilliant job on him. Now you could say Kane was awful in that first half, or you can say Phillips was great in that first half, and in the second half he got more into the game. I still don't think he looks like he's putting in the same effort, but that's my personal opinion. I'm possibly jaded on the bloke, so when I look at him I think ass, whereas other people might think, yeah, he's starting to play well. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see where that goes. But I mean, my hope is definitely, but going back to it, going into a season with one recognised striker and an academy striker, I mean, all of us surely thought in the summer a striker should have been bought, and I still think that's the same in January. I do. I think any team that are genuinely hoping to win, because of course Kane could find all the form in the world and get his leg broke, and Sonny could get called up international and come back with a hamstring injury like Romero. Football's unpredictable, and then all of a sudden, from February 1st, we've got academy strikers. That's it.
Yeah, no,
I mean, that's a situation we should not be in. A club, if we have the ambition that we say we do, that should not be the case. But I don't disagree with what you said about chopping and changing players in the squad and giving Conte time, but I do think we need to add a striker, if nothing else.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I do agree. I mean, we've got plenty of cover in all positions apart from up front. So yeah, let's get a striker in. But my point, and I know you agree with me, but it's just that it's with the players we've got. I want to see how Conte can improve them. And do you know what? Talking about Conte as well, right? I think I might have said this last week as well. I enjoy watching the training sessions, and you can see the enthusiasm. Did you see that 2-footed slide he did in that?
No.
Have you not seen this?
No.
Right, they
What was
they
that?
do that thing where they all get in a circle and they try to, and then someone in the middle has to get the ball and they have to get.
Yeah.
He just went in 2-footed on the play. He's basically one of the players. He's
Oh, wow.
insane. He's got his blue jacket on and his hat on. I absolutely love it. I've never thought. I'm getting to the point now where I'm actually enjoying watching training sessions as much as I'm enjoying watching highlights of the games.
That's crazy. I love that.
But he's so infused.
I did see Dele Alli nutmeg Tanganga.
Right.
Which Dele obviously does that. That's his thing. And he nutmegged him, and they put it on social media as like nuts and sorry Jaffet and sort of thing. But someone's clipped the audio before it got edited, and basically as it happens, Jaffet just goes, "Dele, you."
Quality.
So someone managed to get that, but when they released it later on, it's just that's all you can hear. But yeah, the first bit of audio, you literally just hear "Dele, you," and the cameraman's like, "Nope."
That's quality.
Yeah, quickly move away.
Yeah. Do you know
yeah,
Sam,
so
I was going to ask
sorry,
you, sorry,
mate,
mate, before you go, I wanted to ask you
No.
what you thought of Conte at the end of the game, because you get people going, "Oh, it was only Leeds," it's only Leeds, but I loved it. I don't know what your thoughts were.
I think the thing is, people who say it was only Leeds or it was only this or only that are like in a different world to me. Because for me, that was a game where we weren't playing well and we were losing, and the manager and the players put a great effort in and changes and everything, and we won the game. If you as a manager are not amped by that, if you as a player are not amped by, we came back, we turned this around, then you're not a professional sports person. Get the hell out of it. Because, like, as a fan, remember, think about games where you're losing, and then in the 93rd minute you equalise. Even if that's against Burnley or someone like that you should have really beaten, that adrenaline of grabbing that late goal is phenomenal, and you celebrate like a lunatic.
Yeah.
So why, it's like, me and you've said it before, it's like there are some people out there who just want to be a thief of joy. The guy was amped, and you could see how much it meant to him. And the thing that I liked about it is he went to the players to make sure they had that energy. Like, they're all coming off the pitch like, yeah, okay, applaud the fans, we're leaving the pitch. And he's coming up to them, like, bouncing into them, grabbing them and shaking them. And you could see them all, like, walking away from like, oh, bloody hell.
Do you know what I
Like,
loved as well? It's like you saw like players like Kane, and they were trying not to laugh because they were like,
I know.
"This guy's so pumped."
It's like, calm down, Antonio. God.
But can you imagine him? He saw wrists, some of those players over. Did you watch them when they give them a high five? He is proper launching at their hands, and you can just.
He is shattering hand bone. The only player who managed to keep like a straight face was like Ben Davies, like gentle Ben. Like, I'm nails, boss. I'm on board. I don't know if Ben's just like, wow, dude. Imagine if Ben like, hey, boss, it was Leeds, all right? Smack.
Do you know as well? I wanted to say as well. I wanted to mention it being at the game. So you get people with these kind of well, we've all got superstitions, haven't we? Even when you're sitting indoors watching a game, you've got a superstition. Like, I won't go to the toilet because I think if I go to the toilet, that will score. It's silly. It makes any difference whatsoever. So obviously, where I sit, the guy to the left of me, he. I think he's been a season ticket holder for a few years by the sounds of things. And I was sitting there, and it was quite a cold evening, like it has been the last few days. And I've started developing this thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, called Reynolds disease. Have you ever heard of this? No, so it's where you basically the ends of your extremities the blood vessels don't go there. So randomly, every so often, I'll just start losing blood flow in like 2 or 3 of my fingers. And I'm sitting there, and then the end 2 fingers of my right hand, all the blood flow went, and they just went milky white, like they just looked like they died, And you could see him looking at my hand. He's like, "Are you all right, mate?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just getting cold." He was like, "I've never seen that before." And I explained what it was. Yeah. And he was like, "Do you want to wear my gloves?" And I was like, No, you're fine, mate, you're fine. It'll go. So I just rubbed my hands together and it'll go. Yeah. And then about a couple of minutes later, he was like, he took his gloves off and he went, "Can you put my gloves on?" He said, "I really need you to warm your hands up, right?" I put his gloves on. Within 30 seconds, Leeds scored their goal. I was like, right, I took them off and went, "Don't ever let me wear your gloves again."
Brilliant.
So I've got my own gloves now.
I'm glad you've owned up there, Matt. So we all wanted to know what happened. And
There you
now
go.
we know.
It was me wearing that guy's gloves. That's why we conceded.
The biggest example I've got of that is that bloody night in Amsterdam where it wasn't Amsterdam. It was Man City, I think. It was the Man City game where we got back into the game whilst I had the TV on mute.
Oh, that's right.
So I had to watch the end of the game with it on mute because I was terrified that if I put it back on, then it'd go wrong. And so when they scored that goal, I'm going mental, like, no,
I've had it on mute.
Why is it always us? Why can we never be the team that gets through in these situations? I've lost it, and then Pep Guardiola's looking upset, and I'm like, I don't know why is he looking upset? Why isn't he celebrating like a loon? Yeah. There's a VAR check going on. Of course, I had no idea because I can't hear the commentators. And then I'm just like, do I put the sound back on? No, if I put the sound back on, they'll give it a goal. They'll give it as a goal. So everyone should be thanking me because clearly it was me and the TV on mute that enabled me to get it. I remember the full-time whistle went and everyone celebrated and I put the sound back on. I was like, I'm safe. I can listen to everyone again. I can listen to the crowd noise and listen and watch the celebrations. Oh man.
So anyone that's got a Facebook account, especially over the last few years, must have seen the meme that says, brace yourselves, winter is coming. Now, we all must have seen that one. And to be honest, now it is getting cold. We have to brace ourselves because winter is coming. But what the writers of Game of Thrones didn't want to tell you is that Bran was actually in a wheelchair because he didn't trim his balls with Manscaped. Poor guy thought it was okay to trim his balls with a traditional razor or hair trimmer. Not sure what you want as a gift for the holidays? Well, Manscaped is the ultimate gift and they're here to change the men's grooming game. And you can get 20% off plus free shipping if you use the code SNPOD. So SN for Spurs News, SNPOD at manscaped.com.
It's the Black Friday sales at manscaped.com, so visit today and check out the discounts across the entire range. Exclusively 25% off across everything, and don't forget to use the code SNPOD20 and you will get a further discount. Check the website for more information. Do you ever see these things online where people put stuff on Facebook or Twitter like their kids have said, and then everyone reacts like that didn't happen?
Right.
Yeah, things that didn't happen for 10, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yesterday, my daughter, I've got PSG versus Man City on, right?
It's a good game as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, well, Man City dominated, but I love the PSG setup. But anyway, yeah, so PSG Man City, my daughter's doing her homework, and on the screen, Pochettino comes on, and honest to God, no prompting, no conversation prior to it or anything. She looks up from homework, sees him. I mean, she's 13, and she just goes, "Oh, Pochettino may not be the Tottenham manager, but he'll always be the manager of our hearts."
Oh, bless her.
I just burst out laughing. She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Nothing." I said, "But if I tell people this, no one's going to believe me that you just said that on your own without any sort of prompting." She's like, "Well, he's still the Tottenham manager as far as I'm concerned." I said, "Well, we got a new good one now." She said, "Doesn't matter." But of course, the funny thing is, he was the Tottenham boss for 5 and a bit years. She's 13, so to her, that was her kind of informative from the age of basically knowing what's going on. He was the manager.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah.
So as far as she's concerned, that's it, the manager of my heart. And it got me really thinking about it, because I was like, well, when was that? Have I ever had that? And I was like, well, I suppose actually a little bit with Terry Venables. Terry Venables was the first Tottenham manager I really knew, if that makes sense. Obviously I supported a team before Venables, but it just... I was born in 83, so that kind of late 80s, early 90s, that was the guy, that was in my head. And I kind of became a fan of his because of it, if that makes sense. He went on to manage England. It's yes, that's our Terry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
I think he was manager at Leeds and all sorts of different places afterwards. It's I've got to check see how Venables got on.
Yeah.
So yeah, clearly I had that same thing. I had that same. I'm loyal to the first manager I really knew, the Tottenham manager.
And he might come back one day, so he can come back in.
Yeah, imagine if you're a poor bastard who grew up and it was Christian Gross.
God.
Yeah. I followed his career. It's been amazing.
Do you know what's talking about following careers? Did you know that Stefan Everson still plays football?
Now, see, you've said that to me before, but he's still
playing football. It was his 45th birthday, and he's still player manager for this 4th division Norwegian team. And I'm like, how is he still playing? There was when he was at the game, they show they show a random selection of goals before kickoff. And he was one of them. I said, "Oh, that was Steph. I used to love watching Stefan Everson." And you could see Seb was looking at it like, "That looks like a very long time ago." And I'm like, "Seb, this guy still plays football today. It's insane."
Yeah,
do you know that's reminded me? That's set a little memory up in my head as well. That was something I wanted to mention. Before the game, obviously this is something you wouldn't have picked up on watching it on television, but all the music's changed. And I think it's Conte. I know I might be putting 2 and 2 together and making 7 here, but it was like this really kind of. Do you know what? This is how silly it is. I can't remember the old music, but it. You just think, oh, this is what normally happens.
The music of when they come onto the pitch?
Just everything, like so 5 minutes before they come onto the pitch, they play like a selection of goals and they play this music, and it was all different. And I'm like, this isn't what normally gets played,
But we come out to Duel of the Fates from Star Wars. Have they done away with that?
Do you know? Look, you're more of a geek when it comes to me. When it comes to
for me, hold on.
My brain was.
Where was that?
My brain. Look, you're the sort of. Look, here we go.
You're a nerd. I heard what you said.
Yeah. If we go to if me and you are standing there and it's a quiz team and they can go right, I can either pick Sam or Matt. I'm going to have Sam because he'll be better with a quiz. I'm used to that kind of stuff, So it was more an intuitive thing. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. This music isn't what normally gets played. It felt different, really different. And I genuinely think it might be Conte going, because he's so like, if he's willing to take away tomato sauce and mayonnaise from their chips, what would stop him changing the music as the players come out?
No, I think he's the sort of guy that likes to be in charge of every single detail. There's all sorts of stories coming out. The kind of mayo and the ketchup thing's like a fun tabloid headline, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it than that. Everything down to like salt and thing. The nutrition on everything they're doing is being now really changed, really monitored. But one of the little things that came out and made me laugh was a discussion. How Pochettino had his thing about when everyone arrives in the morning, we eat breakfast stuff, everyone shakes hands. That's like a professional thing we do and everything like that. Conte is very similar in that regard. He wants everyone in the team to greet each other. You're one squad. There's no divide. There's no, this is the top table, this is this.
Like the Mafias, like last season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. None of that. You're all mixing. You're all one squad. You're all one team. You know how they have like coaching table. When you saw in that documentary, like Jose would be sat with Daniel Levy in like the breakfast place with the players and stuff like that. Conte apparently is like, we're all mixed. We're one club, we're one this, so we don't have a table for the coaches and the chairman and the players looking over thinking, oh God, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
We mix. So Conte went and parked his ass next to a couple of the players. He's like, oh, we haven't really got to know each other much yet. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your family. Tell me about this. Can you imagine though, if you're like one of the academy players, like you're in the first team squad, you're like, oh, this is great. And I'm sitting in the canteen. I'm sat next to Harry Kane. I'm here. I'm everything like, oh, there's Ollie Skip, who I know quite well and everything. And then Conte parks his ass next to you. Tell me about your family. Oh my God. Are you going to put a horse's head in my bed if I miss a shot? What? Nothing. I'm scared. Are you about to tell me where my kids go to school? I don't know what to do. Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love stuff like that. Someone put Spurs TV or whatever. They put like a thing out of him behind the scenes, like his first couple of days being shown around. And one of the comments that got the most likes was, we really did pick the wrong season for an Amazon documentary, because I'd love to watch this.
Oh my God, so would I. I'm so glad it's Arsenal this season, because they've not had I know they're above us, unfortunately, at the moment, but they've had some tonkins. I'm looking forward to watching that. I'll tell you when that comes out.
I think I'll wait until the end of the season before I decide if I want to watch it.
Okay.
I know it sounds stupid, but if they finish above us and I got to sit through St. Tottenham's Day and all that crap,
it won't happen.
I think I'll jump.
It won't happen. It won't happen this season. Trust me.
No, I don't strike me as Conte's the kind of guy that is gonna let that happen.
He won't.
Oh, can you believe they hammered us?
Yeah, but do you know what? They wouldn't have under Conte. When they're playing us at our ground, honestly, it's going to be completely different. Trust me, it will.
Yeah, I hope so.
It will be.
I just want to see us mither them. Just to kind of like, all right, you've had your fun. We've had a couple of years of being all over the place while we sorted ourselves out. Now we've sorted ourselves out. Have this.
Look, and the thing is as well. Look. For the first time, funny enough, I was thinking about this earlier today. For the first time in 25 years, they're not in Europe. Now, that goes all the way back to 96, you know, our real dark days. And, you know, can you imagine then, like, they were in the Champions League, weren't they? And we were like, what is Europe? What does it feel like to be in Europe? And now, these fuckers aren't even in Europe. Not even in the third tier that we're in, you know? Yeah. So they've got nothing. They can't say anything. Honestly, they've got nothing, them fans, at the moment.
Nah, but, well, I mean, even West Ham are the best team in London. Other than Chelsea, that are just like on another planet.
And it's, the West Ham thing won't last either. It won't last.
God, I hope you're right.
It won't last. They're just
Chelsea are kind of like, you can look at them and go, well done, yeah, you're right. You've got a massive investment and you've built a decent club out of it, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Arsenal, whatever, Woolwich nomads. But the West Ham thing, mate, I don't know. It hurts.
But it won't last. It won't last, Sam. Trust me.
I hope that we're going to see them, you know, implode and get relegated again. That'd be nice.
They will.
See them get relegated for a few years.
Give it another couple.
That's always fun.
3 or 4 more seasons, they'll be back down in the Championship again.
Oh, thanks, mate. That's made me feel better. That'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be good. It feels right. It feels good when they're doing that. It feels like that's the norm. That's the normal course of events.
Exactly.
It is time on the podcast. I put a thing out like I always do. Like, hey everyone, you got any questions? Got any things? We got like hardly any this week.
Oh, it's disappointing.
No one on Instagram. Not one person on Instagram likes us anymore. That's hurtful. No mountain man. No island
he's up in a mountain, and he's got no signal up there this week. He'd love to get involved, but you know, sometimes when you're up in those mountains, you know, what do you do?
I'd like to think you're right. I mean, I just feel a bit lonely, man. That's all. I just, you know, you put it out there, you say, hey, who wants to get involved, and they all collectively went, no. It's hurtful. So no one from Instagram, no one from Twitter. We've got 2 from Facebook, and we're gonna head down there.
Let's devour them, mate.
Now it's time for your comments from our social media.
So, on Facebook, where people still like us, we have 2. We have Barry Fowles. He says, Tottenham looking for 250 million, 10-year stadium naming rights deal. The Sports Mail understands Amazon are substantially interested in a potential deal. He talks about that a little bit and just wants to know how we'd feel about it being called the Prime Stadium. I'm fairly confident it was going to be the Amazon Arena.
I keep telling you, Sam. I keep telling you. Bezos, he's going to have the club one day.
No,
he's going to.
If Jeff Bezos buys us, I'll get Jeff Bezos tattooed on my ass. There you go. Forever, like in a heart. But no, that guy lost most of his money to his divorce. I say lost. Most is ridiculous.
Yeah, when you say most,
the guy's got so much money, it's ridiculous. If you drew it all out of the banking system, the world would collapse. So,
wow. Is that true?
Yeah. Twice over, by the way. There literally isn't enough cash in circulation for him to have it in cash.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, what an ass. And whilst I'm talking, he's getting richer. By the end of this podcast, he'll have a few million more.
Oh, man. Look, it's going to be called the Amazon Stadium. He's going to get really heavily involved. And he'll be going, do you know what? Look, you guys... Have 10 million. It took me a couple of days to make that or 10 billion. That made me a couple of days to make that an interest. You have it. Spend it.
Yeah, you can spend up to 400 million in one transfer window. So here you go.
Have it. Just have it.
400 million.
There you go.
Have a laugh. Go on.
Fill your boots. Fun. Fill your boots, Antonio.
Yeah, go on. It'd be funny to watch.
It is funny though, Sam, isn't it? How long it has to wake up. Yeah. I know. Look, I appreciate that you know you've got a good idea of the reasons why, but it's a bit bizarre, isn't it, of a situation where it's taken so long for a new stadium to be given naming rights. It must be kind of a. Yes. Has it happened else? Do you know if it's happened elsewhere? Or, I know obviously I know the reasons why.
No, I mean, life is often about timing. You can have. I can't remember the exact expression, and it's going to irk me because I know I'll remember it by the time we finished recording. But there's an expression I was thinking about. All you need in life is the drive to succeed in timing, and timing is a bitch. and it's true, because the stadium was finished late with the problematic and everything. And then we went into a global pandemic. I mean, when you're sat down and you're planning out things, I don't think anyone prior to the start of 2020 ever went, what's our contingency for a global pandemic? Because if they had, everyone else in the meeting would have gone, we don't have one, you jackass.
We probably don't need one.
Yeah. It's like, but I'll tell you what, if that same guy sits in a meeting, he goes, what's our contingency for nuclear war? I'm going to listen to him this time, and I'm building a bunker. It just absolute awful circumstances. Barry, to address your question directly, and kind of what Matt said, it's a recycled story, I'm afraid. It's actually 2 years old. When we announced that we were doing a documentary, and then later on we announced that we were doing a partnership with Amazon where we opened the first football club store on the Amazon.co.uk, and has now been expanded to all Amazon territories around the world. It seemed like our business partnership, was heading in that direction. Factors wise as to why nothing's been done, we brought on a guy with a track record in the NFL of landing these deals. And everyone told me ages ago, and I think I said it to you, I might have even said it on the podcast, which I probably shouldn't have. I was told it was done. Like, there was a deal in place, and it was just a case of no one was announcing deals like this at the moment because it was deemed bad PR during a pandemic. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like, yeah, everyone's agreed, but we can't announce this right now because as a company, whilst people are starving, if we announce we're spending this amount on naming a stadium, we'll be ripped apart.
Yeah.
I completely get that. I'd also love to have their money, so please hurry up. But yeah, so it's an odd one. Timing's a bitch. How do I feel if it was called the Prime Stadium? I gotta be honest with you, if they pay the money, they can call it a Current and Bun ground for all I care. I'll still call it White Hart Lane if I don't like the name. and I just want to crack on now. I want to see that investment, because when that comes in, it's funny because based on our figures, the University of Liverpool did that study, and we could spend and stay within the rules 400 million in one window.
That's insane, isn't it?
But the funny thing is there's more to that as well, because let's say in January, this will never happen, no one think about it, we spent 400 million on players. In the summer, again, due to our revenue streams and everything, we could then spend up to 240 million again.
Wow.
Because of the sheer strength of our revenue streams now. Now, this is based on current FFP rules, which were relaxed due to the pandemic. In the summer, they will change again, but they'll go back to where they were. But the impact we'd still be far and away. We are in a position to invest far more than any other club in the Premier League. That's nuts.
Yeah.
And that is nuts situation. And also Everton need to sell, and I'm told by a couple of people who I trust that we want Pickford, by the way.
I think that'd be a good signing, to be fair.
Yeah, I just it was kind of, English homegrown in goal, the England number one. It'd be nice to sing that again.
Yeah.
We've not sung that for a few
Since
years.
Paul Robinson. Do you know what? Don't get me wrong. I mean, you know that I'm not a Levy lover. I don't think he's I think he's done a lot wrong, but that is a kind of a testament to him that he's set the club up in such a way now that we're that strong when it comes to revenue streams. I mean, that's got to be a ticking.
I think, and I've said this before. I'm not Levy in, Levy out. I try and judge him on each individual thing, if that makes sense. And I think he's made some really bad errors in the last few years. I think on the football side, he has consistently made errors.
Yep.
But on the business side and the way they've structured things on that, I don't really think you can argue with that. I can't see any aspect of that which is bad. I think what a lot of fans now are, because of the other stuff that's happened, they've lost trust. So now when he's saying, now we have it all, now we've got this foundation, and now we're in a position where we can compete and we can invest and we want to win things, everyone's skeptical.
Yeah.
Everyone knew that was their plan. They've said it all along. And now he said, we're here. We've done it. We've achieved it. The pandemic has hit us, but everything's there. You could see the accounts they published this week. The revenue from the stadium for a whole season was 1.9 million. On a sold-out day, like against Chelsea or something, we do that in one game.
Yeah.
So it's there. Like the revenue stream and everything, for the whole package is now there. And he has said, "I'm ready." This is now the next stage. We've appointed Conte. We've got Paratici. We got everything's in place. And you're kind of like, yeah. It is, but are you going to do it though? Because you told us all you're not doing this, and then you went and did that. Or, you told us all this before, and then this happened. So I think everyone's kind of skeptical. I'm in this kind of quiet optimism where I don't want to be like, yes, we're there, come on, it's definitely happening. But at the same time, I do feel that it's there now. He is right. And if the stadium hadn't been delayed and it hadn't been for the pandemic, we'd have been there 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's a bit like that kind of the boy who cried wolf. But I think with me, so, for example, when he took on Nuno, and Nuno was saying in the... do you remember he recorded that video when he first started? And he was like, "I'm going to make you proud," and that. And it's one of those things where... words are words. Like I'll give you a good example. So on TikTok, for example. Now I know we're on TikTok, aren't we?
Yes, we are TikTokers.
We're TikTokers, right? So if I go through my TikTok and it always gives me random things. If I see a video of for example, like a really big guy on there, and he's going, right, I'm going to lose 10 stone in the next year. You what? But in this time next year, I'm going to have lost 10 stone. Like, good luck to you, mate. But I'll just flick on because I'm thinking. It's just words. They're just words. Yeah. Like, let me see the video of you a year down the line losing that 10 stone. And we've had so many managers in where Levy's gone, right, I've got him in, and the manager's giving us all like the confidence and they're saying the right things. Everything's been said the right way. Like everything's. Yeah. But I think what gets me really excited with Conte is that he can say what he likes and get us excited, but the proof is in the pudding. And you just got to look at the guy's track record. He's wherever he's gone, in Milan, Chelsea, Juventus, this guy has revolution. And he said it as well. Like every time he goes into a club, like when he went to Juventus, they were kind of they were trying to find their feet again, weren't they? They hadn't won the title for a few years. He got them winning the title every year. And then with Chelsea, they were in a bit of a doldrums because of they'd had Jose, hadn't they? And they were like, I think they finished 13th the season he took over. Every club he goes to, even in Milan, they hadn't won the title in a long time.
No, I know.
Yeah. So he's like what he's doing with us. He's done with other clubs and proved it. So he can tell us these things. He can say, look, you watch, and Levy can say, look, I've got the right people in place now. But for me, what gives me the confidence where it hasn't had it before is I know that it gets backed up with action, and the actions are there. The evidence is there to show that he will do it. He will. I'm happy on this occasion to take his word for it because he's shown that he's done it wherever he's been. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. I mean, it's funny because a lot of people when they talk to me about different things, I'll always say I never want to discourage people from feeling positive about a situation. Does that make sense? Like even if I look at it and go, oh, I don't know, I'm a bit anxious, but someone else is like, yeah, I think this is great. I'll always be like, yeah, that's awesome, man, because it's like I'm almost jealous because I'm such a skeptical bastard. Yeah. I have this conversation with my friend. One of my friends is deeply religious, and I have this conversation with him a lot where I'm like, mate, I wish I had that. I wish I had your faith.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, why don't you? I'm like, no, I can't. That's not me. I said I'm such a skeptical git. Like someone tries to teach me these things, I go, well, that's crap.
Yeah.
I said, but you have that utter faith that there is this destiny and there's this guiding force. I said, that must be so comforting. I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
And so, like, people, when they're being positive about things, and even if I'm feeling negative, I'll say, this is why I'm feeling this way, but you do you, man. That's great.
Yeah. and you know what?
That's awesome.
I like it in you kind of analogous. The other with the other guy with this, but I think the difference between the two is that, and again, this isn't a religious podcast; this is a podcast about Spurs. But for me personally, I think the difference between the two is a lot of with your friend, it's faith. You know, you've got to have that faith in that.
It is, yeah.
But with this situation, like I just said with Conte, this isn't, his words aren't faith to me. I'm not listening to words and having the faith that they're going to come true. It's like, it'd be different if he managed 10 clubs, and out of the 10 clubs, you had the Inter Milan, the Chelsea, and the and what's the third one? Juventus. He had those 3, but the other 7, he was very average. You're like, okay, maybe, hopefully, we'll be what in that 3 with us. But every single club, you know,
has improved.
He's done it.
Yeah,
he's
definitely.
done it. So why? Where is the skepticism? Where is the doubt? If he's done it at every single club he's been to.
I almost don't want to do this.
Come on,
but,
mate.
Well, you could say the same about Jose when he joined us.
Yeah, but I think the difference with Jose is that, okay, he won a couple of trophies at Man United, but he wasn't winning the Premier League, was he? You know, these were kind of like, as far as like, if you look at Manchester United, this is a club that regularly won the Premier League, regularly won the Champions League. You know, these are winning the cream of the titles. So for them to win the Europa League and the League Cup is I would suggest equivalent of us not winning anything. You know, it's that kind of like, he's gone to them. All right, he's won them a couple of trophies, but he's not exactly set the world alight at Man United, has he? So and look at Roma. He's setting the world alight at Roma. You know, he's coming to the end of his career, and like you've said, and like I think a lot of us will probably agree with, is that his way of managing, his style, worked fantastically at Real Madrid and at Chelsea, but it's dying. It's just dying. Like, you know, it doesn't work anymore. In today's football, 2021 football, it doesn't work. It's just the players, like you said earlier with the canteen and that, you know, that nastiness might have worked a few years ago, you know, but I don't think it works anymore. That you need to be really successful. I mean, look, man, Pep does it at Man City, doesn't he? You can see how close knit that squad is. You know, that's how you have to do it nowadays. And Conte is a manager at the prime of his career, who's doing things regularly with other clubs recently, very, very recently. I mean, he won Inter Milan the title last season, so like it's like, you know. So
I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree with everything you've just said. I think the nagging thing for me is, I have faith and trust in what Conte is saying, like you. I have belief because the proof is there.
Yes,
like,
the evidence is there.
This is what I have done. It is right there. And it's kind of like... And I think the players feel that as well, which is great. My issue is Daniel Levy. I know this really sounds really stupid, is... You know, Conte can't do it alone. No, he cannot drag this club from where it is to where it wants to be alone. It needs to be a massive collaborative effort with everyone pulling in the same direction with the same thought process. And Conte is quite famous for turning around to chairman and people and saying to them, do you want to win or not? And doing it publicly.
Yeah.
You know, he is fiery. You know, you catch him post-match and, you know, like I said, we don't sign a striker in January. Ken and Sonny both get injured on February 1st. Pochettino would go into a press conference and say, you know, the club is bad luck, but we're prepared. It gives an opportunity to somebody else. Conte's going to walk in there and go, I told them we should have signed somebody. They didn't do it. They've got no ambition.
Yep.
And I don't know. I'm so pleased to see Conte having an impact already, and I'm really watching every game now with kind of like wanting to see this progression, because I feel like I'm going to again.
You will.
And I just, that's my nag. That's my nagging doubt. But I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to ignore the nagging doubt, and I'm going to focus on what I'm seeing in front of me, and that is improvements.
Jump on the Conte train, like we told last week's podcast.
Yeah, I don't know what to call this week. I had this weird thing where I was like, I think I'll just call it "We're less crap." But no, that's a double negative. The other question from Facebook was from Ryan Miller. Hi Ryan, if you could sell 3 players in January, who would it be and why? Mine are Winks, Dele, and Doherty. We've kind of already covered this. Sorry, mate. I didn't see your question. So we've already discussed it. Let's just pick... Matt, if there was one player in the squad right now that we had an offer in, that you think, do you know what, actually, yeah, let's take that offer, who would it be?
Well, if you've been listening to the whole podcast today, he's only going to be one player, isn't it? Ndombele.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my thinking as well. If it was like one out, one in, like we had to sell one to bring in a striker, for example, I think Ndombele is offering very little.
And we could get we could get a decent amount of money for him. Let's say, for example, we get 40 million for him. That's 40 million that we can spend on a striker, and I think we get a decent one for that amount of money.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think we would get a decent striker. But do you know the player we're linked with the most is the guy at Fiorentina? And like linked, you know the old expression, no smoke without fire kind of thing. We are linked heavily. Like there is so much about that. The guy's banging him in Serie A, and he looks, like on paper, there's kind of physicality and everything that would suit the Premier League. His play. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like that would cost us about 70 million. Don't you think that would be one hell of a statement to make if we did that in January?
Yes, absolutely.
But not just from the point of view of like Tottenham spending money, shock horror. That would be a statement in itself. But just to the league, to every team, to every player in our squad, to every fan around the world. If the club did that, it would be like, whoa, hold on, this is different.
This
is different. This is new. This is something else. And I'd love that. But again, it's that thing. I've been a Tottenham fan for a long time. 20 years Enoch have owned this club. They've never done that. So why would I think that's going to change? Until it does.
Yeah, no, of course.
Until it does.
And it's exactly what we're saying. So, like, you like I say, we've got Conte in, we've got the words, the promises and that. But this would be something... This would be something like, here we go, right? Let's everyone now stand up,
Yeah, I'd agree with you, man. That would be massive, because it would just send such a thing. Again, and people think I'm getting him all the time, but can you imagine being Kane and seeing that?
Yeah.
I'm leaving this club. We're not showing the ambition to win anything anymore, and I've made my mind up. You then get a situation where, let's face it, we appointed someone, it didn't scream ambition with Nuno. It screamed, who's left that we can get in before the season starts?
Yep.
So he wasn't motivated. He's continued, I'm not motivated, that's motivated. Now Conte's come in. That's a difference. That is a sign of ambition. That is investing serious money in the hope that we are going to win things. And then it gets to the first window after that, and you go big.
Yeah.
You go in and you add. But not only do you add a player, you add a striker.
Yeah.
A significant investment in a striker. All of a sudden, Kane's got two choices. It's like, whoa, I need to start playing.
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, brother, quick, get me that move anywhere, because I'm being replaced. And I think he's the kind of guy that would get that and go, right, you're spending 70 million, I'm going to bloody show you lot.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Not say I don't know the guy, but from for the experience of seeing him and hearing about his attitude, I think he would kick him on another level. Genuinely would.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. Just a couple of things I wanted to wrap up with, because I know we're running low on time. But there was a couple of things that sort of happened this week and I spotted, and I just wanted to run past you. I saw someone discussing this and I wanted to put it to you because it's funny. Ryan Mason is obviously now a first team coach. Full time he's in that coaching setup. I know he did the caretaker role and stuff, but Harry Kane is genuinely his best friend in the world. Mm-hmm. Don't you think that's weird? Or would you find that weird, being put in that situation? And I'm saying this for comedy. I'm not saying it for like, I don't think it should happen. I think Mason's, God in socks. I love the guy. But when it comes to that, could you imagine it if like Conte says to him, "Oi, tell Kane he ain't running fast." Ryan's got to walk over to literally his best friend in the world. Their wives spend all their time together. The kids play together. They go on holiday together every year. They have done for like a decade. He's got to walk over there and go, "Pull your socks up, Harry. I'll see you tonight, mate." Do you know what I mean? Don't you think that could be a bit weird?
Yeah, it's a bit awkward. It's like, sometimes when you hear about people like they're in a team and they get promoted to like the team leader or the manager, and they've got to manage the people they've been working with, and it's that awkwardness, isn't it? You know.
I was in a situation where I got from my first ever job was like straight out of school. Man, I'm so old. There was a company called Genie Mobile. Right now, Genie Mobile came along with these SIM cards only, and the text messages were free.
That's right. I remember them, yeah.
At this point in the world, for teenagers, this was like crack.
Yeah.
they could not get a Genie Mobile SIM card fast enough, and I was hired to be a salesperson for Genie Mobile. And lo and behold, I sold thousands of these friggin' things, and I was on commission, and I was earning at like 19 years old about £1,000 a week.
Wow.
I spent a lot, by the way.
As you do.
But I was, I loved this job, and I was doing so well. I was 18, I think, 18 and a half. They promoted me, and all the people I worked with in this room, which was about 30 people, were now suddenly, I was the boss. I was the youngest by about 10 years.
Oh my God. I bet that went down well, didn't it?
Imagine? Oh, mate, it went from, Sam, nice lad, you're the one who plays rugby, he comes in wearing the Bristol rugby shirt, nice guy, to, asshole, I hate that guy. And I was, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this. And I like went to like people I respected. Like I had my uncle. I was like, uncle, I don't know how to deal with this. I was worked with them, and now I'm going to be. This isn't my career, but I'm open to do it for a few more months to make some good money. I want to go away. Blah, blah, blah. And he just surrounded me. He said, "Well, you got to be a step above them now." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, they all come in casual. You come in wearing a shirt and tie. You're a step above. You're the boss. You got to be it. You got to be the thing." And so that was it then. That was it. That was my shirt and tie moment. I was like nearly, by this point, 18 and a half years old, shirt on, tie on. I went in. Hello, everybody.
Nice.
It's just so funny looking back. They must have ripped out of me. It's like, it must have been horrific. But yeah, no. So when I read that yesterday, it just made me think of Ryan. Basically, he's got to scream at his mate like, "Are you going to put any effort in ever?" And then like the whistle goes. It's the end of training. Okay, buddy, your house or mine?
You know what's really going to happen in real life, though? He's going to put his arm around him and say, "Look, Antonio's told me to give you a royal looking. Let's pretend we have, yeah?"
Oh, no, put your head down. Put your head down. Pretend you're crying. Yeah. He said if I didn't reduce you to tears, he was going to put a horse's head in my bed, and I don't know what that means. I loved it. And the other thing I was just going to bring up quickly before we finish. Did you see this week all the talk about the financial stuff, and obviously the club have released the figures and everything?
See, this is why I call you geeky, Sam, because this is what you know.
You're such an ass. You're so mean to me. Honestly, I show you nothing but love. In amongst it, right? And this is so stupid, but it's really made me laugh, and I'd love to know what you think. Do you remember the cheese room and all the talk about the club installing this cheese room?
Yes.
And it being like ridiculous, but because we as fans are piss taking gits, we all cottoned onto this. We're like, we want our cheese room.
Yes, yeah.
But it was always intended to be this like high rolling kind of thing. Now, do you remember when the club abolished it? They basically said, "No, we've done away with this. We're a football club. We're not high end entertainment. We're at heart, meat pies." They kind of really tried to sell it to us like, "Oh yeah, we've abandoned it because we're one of the people."
Working club. We're a working class club.
Yeah. Well, so buried in this financial result is the average, or not the average, but the total income made from like the corporate side of it. So this is the people that go up into the boxes and the corporate facilities and stuff like that. It's basically on a par with the stand that you used to be in.
Really?
Before you moved to the south.
No way.
So the amount of money people are spending in that is the equivalent of us filling the upper end of the stadium.
That's insane.
I'm like killing myself because this isn't the cost of the ticket. I'm talking about the amount of money they're spending while there. Wow. So you've got like 8,000 odd fans there buying a beer, buying something to eat, everything in the stadium, and they're spending X. And all of us are looking at it going, "Wow, that's a load of money." But up there in the boxes, there's about 10 fat cats doing the same. They're eating caviar, drinking Bollinger like £1,000 a bottle, whilst watching a game of football.
Jeez.
I doubt they're even watching it. I can't imagine them out there going, "Oh, hurrah! Hurrah for Howard Kane! Bloody good show, boy!" I can't see it. I'd give anything to go up there. I'd just once let me win the lottery so I can go out there and look at these people and see what they're like. I want to walk around them. I want to see what they do. I want to offer them cheese.
Do you know what it's going to be? You must have seen that Salt Bay bill that someone spent. Was it 34 grand? That's an average up there. That's not even average. That's like a cheap. That's a cheap day out.
Those people were out there going, "Sub, I wouldn't demean myself to eat that."
34 grand.
If I eat a steak, I want to see the cow first. Look him in the eye. I desperately. They're up there swapping yachts.
Yeah, for a game of cards.
Yeah, where are you summering next year? Oh, I thought I'd go to my island. Oh no, come to ours. Yeah. But yeah, the revenue.
Oh my God.
Matt, we got to do it one day. We got to find a way there. We've got to find a way. Even if we have to dress as waiters,
we'll do it. Yeah, we smuggle our way.
We need to find it. Spurs News Podcast undercover in the rich part of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Right, we're here. Oh, hello. Oh my God, we've been rumbled.
You can do accents, so you'll be all right. I mean,
you'll have to be staff, I'm afraid. Yes. Come on, Jameson, follow me. He's a bit rough around the edges. Ignore him. Tally ho! Oh dear, no. I think I'd last 5 minutes. I'd probably geek out over seeing something amazing. Like, is that a crystal swan? And that's it. I'll be kicked out. But anyway, that's our podcast. We will be back next week. Next week we'll be announcing details of the Christmas special as well. We were going to announce them this week, but I forgot. So it will be next week. Big thank you to everybody for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Matt, speak to you next week.
Take care, mate.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.